Since I ran my retreat in Gozo, which was called The Truth of Who You Are, we have continued with our WhatsApp group because I created a group for the 9 retreatees because they're all meeting at the airport and then being brought across Malta and then on the ferry to the retreat centre. And then we have continued the dialogue in the WhatsApp group. So there's been lots of questions and lots of ongoing conversation from the retreat, and therefore this video is inspired by one of the conversations on the group the group chat. Essentially, of course, those early years, the early years, particularly the first 7 years of our life, when our brains are very plastic and very receptive and it's a very developmental time, how that is looked after, how we're looked after, how that is managed, what input we have then is absolutely vital to how we go forward and move into our adult years eventually. So that's the time when how it is that our natural impulses, I mean, children are full of impulses, of course, and how that is developed and taught, and how we're taught to manage ourselves, how we're taught to know how to self-regulate, how to look after ourselves, how to know how to eat the right amount of food for ourselves, how to look after ourselves on every level, and how we will feel about ourselves, whether we feel if we don't get enough help, if there isn't help available, when we might be struggling with fears and anxieties that arise because it's all new for us as little things. We're going to a new school, when a new baby arrives in our life, and your little sister or brother, all those times when we're learning to tell the time or tie our shoelaces up or read or write, how we are supported in that and how we're helped, and what the input we get, of course, and how we receive it and how we adapt is so instrumental in how we are as adults. And so often, of course, we develop all sorts of childhood trauma because we can't, with even the best will in the world, adults can't necessarily meet our needs, or haven't got the time, or they've got their own things going on, or they've got their own childhood wounding that's unresolved. So all sorts of trauma can set up in us, and in effect adults are often very walking wounded. And we were discussing in the group how, or people were asking questions about feeling pain and facing it, and things coming up they hadn't recognized before, and getting in touch with feelings that they hadn't felt for a long time and they buried from childhood. And I was saying essentially that we need to feel to heal, and that really and truly we have to face the pain, we have to face the trauma for freedom, to be whole. And the pain, when it arises, is so often not dealt with either by ourselves or those around us, because people, the adults and the people older than us, or even the other adults around us once we're grown up, don't like to look at pain. And so what happens is, instead of facing our pain, because when we face it and when we feel it, we can really go in and heal it, and we can heal it from whence it came, which is what I teach with reactivity. When we react or we feel an emotional response to something, if we really, really feel it and we really suspend any narrative to run away from it or project it out, then what can happen is we can go right into the pain and, as I said, heal it from its source, right from whence it came. But what often happens with pain, and this is what I was aware of when I was sharing this in the group, that often people project it out. So they do a lot of things with pain to avoid feeling it and avoid, therefore, healing it, and stay attached to their trauma and their childhood wounding. So often it's projected out, and by that it means that all the feelings of anger and hurt and confusion can just be projected onto people around. So either feeling angry with other people or upset by other people, and making it all about that the feelings of pain are to do with what's going on externally, what's going on with the people around, and that's why we're unhappy, because these people aren't behaving as we want, or the situations and circumstances aren't as we want them to be. And so therefore it all gets projected out. And sometimes some of the things we haven't dealt with, we project them onto other people. So we project that that person's angry and that person's upset and that person doesn't listen and that person is unresolved. We can project all our own stuff onto other people and distract completely from, or project so that we don't look at our own stuff. The other thing, of course, is distraction. We distract because we don't want to ever be still enough to feel discomforted or in pain. And so instead we distract all the time. So we'll distract with conversations and lots of things to do, and always focused on where we're going in life and what we need, and worrying about other people and trying to do the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, and distracting with the phone, with the television, with anything, all sorts of things. It can be sport. I mean, all these things, sport and watching television, they can all be part of a healthy life, but often they're a distraction. Always going out, always finding another thing to do, always listening to a podcast, always listening to a play on on your phone, or anything that means that you don't have to stay with the feelings inside you. So people project pain out, they distract from it, they push it down. So, and to push it down, it will be put away, not looked at. And some ways people push down is by just literally, I'm not talking about that, not going there, moving the subject away from it, never, ever, ever going there and putting a sort of wall up, becoming a sort of more of a ultimatum, a kind of more, not going into my feelings, not going to look at them. And language can change to make sure that doesn't happen, they don't go there, push it all down. But you can also push it down by drinking alcohol, eating food, numbing out with watching television, going on your phone, all those things you can do. Distracting and pushing down can be done with the same substances, but it's absolutely making sure that when the feelings come up, you push them down again and don't look at them. And then, of course, you can actively try to wash them away with drugs, pharmaceutical drugs, or alcohol, recreational drugs. I mean, of course, food can be a drug. Alcohol can be a drug, or it can be something you enjoy. All of these things don't have to be ways of avoiding feeling, but they often are. So instead of feeling, people would prefer to drink, as I say, take drugs, just escape from ever looking. So really and truly, it is recognizing that we need to feel to heal. We need to acknowledge all our feelings, and we need to be willing to investigate if the feeling arises. We don't always have to know the story. I mean, it's more of a Western kind of way that we like to know what our stories are and where the wound happened, whereas really we only need to know the feeling and allow ourselves to be sad, allow ourselves to be angry, allow ourselves to feel those feelings and have strategies to clear them. So we can write. I often suggest people write their distress out without reading it back. If you're trying to clear and the feelings are arising and they're overwhelming, sometimes just writing and writing and writing, but not reading it back and then destroying the paper. Burning it's very good, but do it safely. Just burn the page and you never read it again. The Osho dynamic meditation is a wonderful one. We did that when we were in the retreat. I will post a link to it down in the description, because that allows, it's kind of in 5 stages, the one I'll post, but we did it in 4 stages in Gozo, where you do chaotic breathing through the nostrils to kind of chuck it all up, chuck all the stuff up into the system, and then you emote. So then you clear it all out, you shout, scream and holler and get all the feelings out, and then you calm it all down, get it back into your body, like hoo, 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 and then the silence. And then there's free movement. So there is 5 stages. Yeah, what am I talking about? Then there's this like free movement, but I will post the link, because that's a wonderful way of clearing, and it's something that's useful to do every week if you're trying to clear old stuff. Yeah, and shout, and obviously giving a good old shout if you anyway, bashing a pillow if emotion arises, having a really good sob, but not getting it looped up with a narrative, often just really clearing it out. And just generally, moment by moment and day by day, when you have a reactivity, recognizing that it's an arrow to some pain and being able to properly feel it and properly breathe it out, or cry it out, or again, even if it's a small reactivity that's arisen, it's still worth really going into it and clearing it. And if it needs some writing, or it needs a shout out, you know, scream it out, especially if you're somewhere where there's no one around, bash a pillow. We need to get this stuff out of our body, because it gets held in the, you know, in the body. Emotional pain gets held in the muscles in the body, and the body cries the tears we don't. So really and truly, it's very, very important that we face our pain and we feel to heal.